Lee Min-jun stood in the center of the biggest room he had ever seen. The Galactic Council chamber stretched out like a small city. Hundreds of alien beings sat in curved rows that rose up toward a ceiling covered in stars. Each species looked different. Some had tentacles. Others had wings. A few glowed with soft light. All of them moved very, very slowly. Lee watched as a tall blue alien turned its head. The movement took 3 full seconds. When it blinked, Lee counted to 2 before the eyes opened again. Everything here happened like the aliens were moving underwater. "The human representative will now approach the speaker's platform," announced a voice that sounded like singing crystals. Lee walked forward. His normal walking speed made several aliens gasp. To them, he was moving like lightning. He tried to slow down, but even his careful steps looked fast to the council. Speaker Vorthak waited at the center platform. The ancient being looked like a mountain of living crystal. When it spoke, each word came slowly and clearly. "We welcome Earth's representative to this gathering." Lee waited and waited. It took Vorthak 20 seconds to say those 8 words. Lee could have said the same thing in 2 seconds. "Thank you for this honor," Lee replied. Several aliens jumped at how quickly the words came out. Behind Vorthak, Ambassador Zephyrian unfolded to his full height. The Altarian looked like a graceful tree, with arms that moved like branches in a gentle wind. His species was known for being quick thinkers. For an Altarian, quick thinking meant making decisions in under 10 seconds. "We have studied your species carefully," Zephyrian said. Each word was clear and slow. "Your planet's history shows much violence. Your technology is simple compared to ours. Your people have only recently left your home star system." Lee nodded and waited. He knew what was coming. "Most concerning," continued General Kasich, a reptilian being with scales that changed color, "are your reaction time measurements. Your fastest recorded responses show 0.15 seconds. Our computers flag this as impossible measurement error." Some aliens in the chamber made sounds that might have been laughter. To them, the idea of reacting in less than half a second was like claiming you could fly by flapping your arms. The Catherian representative, a bird-like creature with bright feathers, spoke next. "My species holds the galactic record for fastest reflexes. We can respond to danger in 0.8 seconds. This makes us excellent pilots and guards." More sounds of agreement echoed through the chamber. The Catherians were famous across the galaxy for their speed. If they needed 0.8 seconds to react, then 0.15 seconds was clearly impossible. Dr. Elena Vasquez had warned Lee about this. Back on Earth, she had explained how different neural systems worked. Their brains process information differently than ours. What feels normal to us will seem impossibly fast to them. Lee had asked if he should demonstrate human reflexes. Elena had shaken her head. "They won't believe it. They'll think it's a trick, or their instruments are broken." Now, standing before the council, Lee understood what she meant. These beings thought and moved at their own pace. They could not imagine anything faster. After much discussion, Speaker Vorthak announced, "We have reached our decision regarding Earth's application for membership." The chamber fell silent. Lee felt hundreds of alien eyes watching him. Some looked curious. Others seemed amused. A few appeared concerned about letting violent humans into their peaceful galaxy. "Earth will be granted observer status," Zephyrian declared. "You may attend council sessions and learn our ways. However, you cannot vote on decisions, participate in trade agreements, or receive military protection." Lee had expected this. Earth's diplomats had prepared him for rejection or limited acceptance. But the reasoning stung. "This decision reflects your species' current development level," General Kasich explained. "You show promise, but you need time to grow beyond your violent nature. Perhaps in a few thousand years, when your people mature, we can discuss full membership. We suggest, added the Kytherian representative, that humans spend this time learning patience and careful thinking. Quick actions lead to mistakes. Wisdom comes from slow, thoughtful decisions. The crystal being's voice rang out again. Do you accept these terms, human representative? I accept on behalf of Earth, Lee replied immediately. His quick answer made several aliens flinch. They had expected him to ask for time to consider, maybe request a recess to contact his government. The idea that he could make an important decision in seconds seemed reckless to them. Very well, Vorthok concluded. This session is complete. Human observer Lee Min-jun may remain to observe our next discussion about trade route security. As the aliens slowly settled back into their seats, Lee activated his small recording device. He would send his report back to Earth tonight. Around him, the Council began discussing pirate attacks on merchant ships. Lee listened as they described raids that lasted mere seconds. What they actually meant was attacks that took 2 or 3 minutes. Their security forces needed 10 to 15 minutes to respond to any emergency. Pirates had learned to exploit this. They would attack, steal what they could carry, and escape before any help arrived. The galaxy's slow reflexes made them sitting ducks. Lee thought about the human patrol ships now stationed near Earth. Captain Sarah Kim's crew could have weapons armed and fired in under 5 seconds. But these aliens would never believe that was possible. As Ambassador Zephyrian droned on about the need for careful security planning, Lee made notes. The aliens thought humans were primitive children who needed to learn patience. They had no idea what children with fast hands could do when someone threatened their friends. Lee smiled quietly. The Galactic Council had made their decision about humanity based on their own limitations. They could not imagine reflexes faster than their own, so they dismissed human capabilities as measurement errors. That mistake might cost them dearly when they finally needed help that could arrive in seconds instead of minutes. But for now, Lee would watch and wait. Earth would prove its worth when the time was right. 6 months after the council meeting, Captain Sarah Kim stood on the bridge of Earth's first interstellar patrol ship. The Soul's Pride was small compared to galactic vessels, but it was fast and well-armed. More importantly, it had a human crew. Captain, we're picking up a distress signal, reported Communications Officer Park Jae-sung. Civilian convoy under attack in the Meridian system. Sarah looked at the data streaming across her screens. 3 merchant ships carrying medical supplies were being raided by the Crimson Fleet pirates. The attack had started 90 seconds ago. How long until Galactic Security Forces arrive? Sarah asked. The nearest Altarian patrol is 18 minutes away, answered Dr. Yuki Tanaka from her science station. Kytherian backup is 25 minutes out. Sarah frowned. In 20 minutes, the pirates would be long gone. This was the problem plaguing the galaxy. Pirate Lord Scaroth had figured out that no galactic force could respond quickly enough to stop him. The Crimson Fleet's tactics were brutally simple. Jump in, board merchant ships, grab everything valuable, and escape before help arrived. It worked because every galactic species needed several minutes to coordinate a response. Captain, Dr. Tanaka continued, I'm reading the pirates' standard pattern. They board one ship at a time, strip it clean, then move to the next. Based on their previous raids, they'll be finished and gone in 12 minutes. Sarah made her decision. Helm. Set course for the Meridian system. Maximum speed. Ma'am, Lieutenant Park said carefully, Galactic Protocol requires us to wait for backup and file a response plan with the nearest sector command. How long would that take? Minimum 30 minutes for proper authorization. Sarah almost laughed. 30 minutes to get permission to help people being robbed and possibly killed. The galactic bureaucracy moved as slowly as everything else in this part of space. New orders, Sarah announced. We're going in now. All crew to battle stations. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Within 30 seconds, every system was online, and weapons were charging. The Soul's Pride jumped to hyperspace. Meanwhile, in the emergency council session on Harmony Prime, Speaker Vorthak was explaining the pirate crisis to assembled representatives. Scaroth's fleet has struck 12 times in the past month, the crystal being intoned slowly. Each attack follows the same pattern. They strike fast and escape before our forces can respond. General Cassix displayed tactical data on the chamber's screens. Our fastest response time is 8 seconds from alert to weapons fire. The Altarian Navy requires 12 seconds. Even our swift Kytherian friends need 6 seconds for coordinated action. Ambassador Zephyrian gestured with one graceful arm. The pirates have learned to exploit our response times. They complete their raids in what they call lightning strikes. Attacks lasting only 2 to 3 minutes. The human observer, Lee Minjun, listened quietly from his designated seat. To him, 2 to 3 minutes sounded like an eternity for a military engagement. Earth's forces trained to engage targets in seconds, not minutes. The situation grows worse each day, continued Vorthak. Merchant captains refuse to travel certain routes. Trade is suffering. Something must be done. We could increase patrols, suggested the Kytherian representative. We have tripled patrol frequency, General Cassix replied. But space is vast. The pirates simply attack where we are not present. As the council debated solutions, the Soul's Pride dropped out of hyperspace directly into the Meridian system. Captain Kim's tactical display immediately showed the situation. 3 merchant ships hung in space like sitting ducks. Pirate vessels were attached to each one like parasites. Sarah could see the enemy clearly. 5 attack ships and numerous boarding pods. Status report, Sarah ordered. Pirates have been on scene for 4 minutes, reported Dr. Tanaka. They're still loading cargo from the first merchant ship. The other 2 vessels appear intact. Quote, weapons status? All systems ready, Captain, Lieutenant Park confirmed. Sarah studied the tactical display. The pirates were following their usual pattern. Methodical, careful, confident. They had plenty of time before any help arrived. They moved with the unhurried pace of predators who had never been challenged. That was about to change. This is Captain Kim of the Earth vessel Soul's Pride, she broadcast on all frequencies. Pirate vessels, you are ordered to surrender. Immediately. The response came back in heavily accented Galactic Standard. Unknown ship. Withdraw or be destroyed. We claim salvage rights on these vessels. Sarah checked her chronometer. The pirates had been raiding for 6 minutes. By galactic standards, they were moving at incredible speed. By human standards, they were taking their sweet time. Lieutenant Park, target the boarding pods first. Use precision fire to disable them without damaging the merchant ships. Aye, Captain. Multiple targets acquired. Dr. Tanaka, monitor the merchant vessels for life signs. I want to know immediately if our fire endangers any civilians. All civilians appear to be in protected areas, Captain. The pirates are focused on cargo holds. Sarah took a deep breath. Earth's first real combat engagement in galactic space was about to begin. The outcome would determine not just the fate of 3 merchant ships, but humanity's reputation among the stars. All hands, this is the captain. We're going in fast and hard. Show these pirates what happens when they pick on the innocent. Fire when ready. The Soul's Pride accelerated toward the pirate formation. Its weapons systems hummed with deadly energy. In seconds, the galaxy would discover what human reflexes could accomplish in real combat. The pirates, still confidently looting cargo, had no idea death was approaching at the speed of human thought. Back in the council chamber, an urgent message arrived for Lee Minjun. A human ship had responded to the Meridian raid. Lee read the brief report and smiled. The galaxy was about to learn that some problems required fast solutions. The Soul's Pride screamed out of hyperspace with weapons already charging. Captain Kim's crew had used their travel time to prepare for immediate engagement, while galactic forces would need precious minutes to assess and respond. The humans were ready to fight before they even arrived. "Contact in 30 seconds, announced Lieutenant Park. His targeting system was already locked onto multiple pirate vessels. "I count 5 enemy ships and 8 boarding pods." "Civilian status?" Captain Kim asked. Dr. Tanaka's fingers flew over her console. "All 3 merchant ships show life signs in protected areas. The crews are following standard lockdown procedures. Readers, 1-5. Sarah studied the tactical display. The pirates were spread out, confident in their ability to complete the raid and escape. Their ships moved in slow, graceful arcs that would confuse most galactic opponents. Unfortunately for them, they were not facing most galactic opponents. "Target the boarding pods first," Sarah ordered. "We need to cut their escape routes and protect the civilians." "Targeting solution ready," Lieutenant Park confirmed. His hands moved over the weapons controls with practiced precision. The pirate formation never saw them coming. The Crimson Fleet had raided dozens of convoys using the same tactics. Attack, board, steal, and escape before help arrived. It had worked perfectly for months because galactic response times were measured in tens of minutes, not seconds. "Fire," Sarah commanded. Lieutenant Park's first volley hit 3 boarding pods simultaneously. Each shot was precisely calculated to sever the connection between pod and merchant ship without damaging either vessel. The pods drifted away, their crews trapped inside disabled craft. The pirates began their standard evasive maneuvers. Their ships turned in beautiful, sweeping curves designed to confuse slower opponents. But Park's reflexes allowed him to track and adjust his targeting faster than the enemy ships could complete their turns. "Second volley away," Park announced. 2 more boarding pods exploded in quick succession. The remaining pirate vessels finally began to understand they were under attack, but their responses came too slowly. By the time they started emergency procedures, half their force was already destroyed. Engineer Chen Wei monitored the engagement from his station. "Captain, 1 boarding pod is still attached to Merchant Vessel 2. They're trying to complete their theft." Sarah looked at the tactical display. The pod was firmly connected to the cargo ship's hull. A standard galactic approach would require careful negotiation or a lengthy siege. There was no time for either. "Can you detach it without harming the merchant ship?" Sarah asked. Chen studied the technical readouts. "Yes, but it requires a precise shot while both ships are moving. The timing window is less than half a second. Take the shot." Chen's hands moved over his controls. He calculated vectors, velocities, and structural stress points. The shot required split-second timing, as both the merchant ship and attached pod moved through space. Most galactic gunners would need several minutes to line up such a complex targeting solution. Chen fired. The plasma bolt severed the boarding tube exactly where it connected to the merchant ship. The pod tumbled away. Its occupants, safe but trapped. "Direct hit," Chen reported. "Boarding pod disabled, merchant vessel undamaged." The remaining pirate ships finally began coordinated evasive action, but their movements seemed painfully slow to the human crew. Captain Kim watched enemy vessels turn and dive in formations that would challenge any galactic opponent. "They're trying to scatter," observed Dr. Tanaka. "Standard Crimson Fleet escape pattern." "Not today," Sarah replied. "All weapons. Target the lead ship. Don't let them reach jump distance." The Soul's Pride's weapons spoke again. Energy bolts lanced out across space, striking the pirate command vessel before it could complete its escape turn. The ship's shields flared and failed under the precise barrage. "Enemy command ship disabled," Lieutenant Park announced. "Remaining vessels are trying to surrender." Sarah checked her chronometer. The entire engagement had lasted 93 seconds. From the pirates' perspective, death had come impossibly fast. They had been confidently looting cargo one moment, and fighting for survival the next. "This is Captain Kim to all pirate vessels. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." The responses came quickly. The surviving Crimson Fleet ships powered down their weapons and engines. Their crews had never faced opponents who could react and adapt faster than they could think. "Dr. Tanaka, contact the merchant ships. Get me damage reports and casualty counts." "Already on it, Captain." The first response came from Merchant Captain Keeksoth, whose species required several seconds to form coherent thoughts. "Human ship. How did you—" The pirates were so fast. Sarah smiled. From the alien captain's perspective, the pirates had been moving at incredible speed. But to human eyes, the entire raid had been conducted in slow motion. "All civilians are safe," Dr. Tanaka reported. "Minor damage to cargo holds, but no injuries. The merchants are confused about how quickly we resolved the situation." "Understood. Begin recovery operations. Secure the pirate vessels, and tend to any wounded." "Understood." As the Soul's Pride's crew went about their post-battle duties, Sarah composed her report to Galactic Command. The message was brief and professional. "Pirate raid in Meridian System successfully terminated. All civilian vessels secure. 5 enemy ships captured or destroyed. No friendly casualties. Total engagement time: 1 minute, 33 seconds. She paused before adding the final line. The galactic forces would need it for their records, even if they wouldn't believe it. Human patrol ship Soul's Pride returning to standard patrol route. In the aftermath, Merchant Captain Keeksoth slowly processed what had happened. His species was known for careful, methodical thinking. He had seen the distress signal, watched the pirates attack, and prepared for the worst. Standard galactic response times meant help would arrive too late to matter. But the human ship had appeared like lightning. The battle that should have lasted 20 minutes was over in less than 2. The pirates who had seemed impossibly fast were left drifting helplessly in space. Captain Keeksoth began composing his own report to the Merchant Guild. It would take him several hours to find the right words to describe what he had witnessed. How do you explain that humans fight at the speed of thought itself? Meanwhile, the surviving pirates sat in their disabled ships and tried to understand what had happened. They had used tactics that worked against every galactic species. Fast raids, quick escapes, always staying one step ahead of slow-moving security forces. For the first time in their careers, they had encountered opponents who were faster. News of the engagement began spreading across galactic communication networks. A human ship had stopped a Crimson Fleet raid. The impossible had happened. Someone had arrived in time to make a difference. The emergency meeting called itself to order as news of the Meridian incident spread across the galaxy. Speaker Vorthak's crystalline form glowed brighter than usual, indicating high stress levels. Around the chamber, representatives whispered in their slow, careful voices about the impossible reports coming in. Analyst VX approached the central platform carrying data crystals. The insectoid being's compound eyes reflected light as she prepared her presentation. "Honored Council, we have verified battle recordings from the Meridian System. Honored 1. Honored 1. Show us," General Kasich ordered. His scales had turned a dark red color that indicated serious concern. The chamber's main display activated, showing space around the 3 merchant vessels. Pirate ships moved in their familiar patterns. Boarding pods attached to cargo holds. Everything looked normal for a Crimson Fleet raid. Then, the Soul's Pride appeared. "Notice the human vessel's immediate weapons activation," VX pointed out. "No assessment period. No communication with command. No request for backup. They engage instantly." The council watched in silence as Lieutenant Park's first shots destroyed 3 boarding pods simultaneously. Several representatives made sounds of disbelief. The targeting accuracy was incredible, but the speed was impossible. Pause the recording. Ambassador Zephyrian requested. How long elapsed between the human ship's arrival and their first shots? 4 seconds, Viex replied. The chamber erupted in slow, confused murmurs. 4 seconds was barely enough time for most species to register that combat was beginning. The idea of identifying targets, calculating firing solutions, and executing attacks in that time frame seemed like fantasy. Continue the recording, Speaker Vorthak ordered. The council watched the rest of the engagement unfold. They saw Engineer Chen's precise shot to separate the boarding pod. They witnessed Captain Kim's tactical coordination as her crew engaged multiple targets. Most shocking was Lieutenant Park's ability to track and hit maneuvering targets that should have been impossible to predict. The human weapons officer anticipates enemy movements, observed Admiral Nexus, an ancient being whose species had once been warriors. He fires where the targets will be, not where they are. That requires incredible neural processing speed, added Dr. Phylax, the Council's chief scientist. Our most advanced combat computers need 2.3 seconds to calculate similar firing solutions. The recording ended with the pirates surrendering. Total engagement time was displayed clearly. 1 minute, 33 seconds. This must be an error, declared General Casix. No organic being can process information that quickly. We verified the recording with 3 independent sources, Viex stated. The time frame is accurate. Speaker Vorthak's glow dimmed as the implications sank in. If humans can react this quickly, in combat situations, they could strike any target in the galaxy before we could respond. Admiral Nexus finished grimly. The chamber fell silent. Every representative was thinking the same thing. They had dismissed humans as primitive newcomers, with impossible reflexes. Now those reflexes had proven real, and the galaxy's power balance had shifted dramatically. Representative Thymel, a moderate voice on the council, spoke carefully. We need to reassess our relationship with humanity immediately. Agreed, said the Catherian delegate. My species has prided itself on fast reflexes for thousands of years. These humans make us look like statues. More reports arrived during the session. Human patrol ships across space were engaging Crimson Fleet raiders with similar results. Every encounter followed the same pattern. Humans arrived, assessed, and acted before pirates could complete their thefts. They're systematically destroying Scaroth's entire operation. General Casix reported, his scales now showing deep purple patterns of fear. 12 pirate ships captured or destroyed in the past 6 hours, all by human vessels. Dr. Phylax pulled up comparative data on the main display. If we analyze human neural response patterns against galactic standards, the implications are concerning. Friend. Come. Acer. Concerning. The display showed reaction time comparisons. Average galactic species, 0.8 to 1.2 seconds. Fastest known species, Catherians, 0.6 seconds. Humans, 0.15 seconds. At those speeds, Dr. Phylax continued, human warriors could draw and fire personal weapons before most species could recognize a threat existed. Elder Zix, the oldest member of the council, spoke for the first time in decades. His voice carried the weight of millennia. I remember the last great war, 30,000 years ago. It was fought between species with similar capabilities. Battles lasted months. Strategies could be planned and countered. He paused, letting his words sink in. A war involving humans would be over in minutes. They could strike every major target in the galaxy simultaneously. Our defenses, our fleets, our governments, all would fall before we could mount organized resistance. The chamber erupted in alarmed voices. Representatives who had laughed at human measurement errors 6 months ago now realized they had been hosting potential conquerors. What do they want? asked Ambassador Zephyrian. Have they made any demands? Lee Minjun, still sitting in the observer section, received permission to speak. He approached the central platform slowly, aware that every alien eye was tracking his movement with new fear. Honored Council, Lee said carefully. Humanity seeks only peaceful cooperation and mutual protection. How can we trust beings capable of such efficiency in combat? General Kasich asked. The same way you trust each other, Lee replied. Through shared interests and common goals. Humanity has no desire to conquer. We simply want to contribute to galactic civilization. Security Chief Raxon, who had been silent during the debate, finally spoke. The humans could have struck us at any time. Their capabilities were always real. We simply refused to believe the evidence. Instead, Lee continued, human ships are protecting trade routes and rescuing civilians. We use our abilities to help, not harm. Speaker Vorthak considered this. What would humanity require for continued cooperation? Read it SSI. We have the talked HP. We have weed. Full membership in the Council, Lee answered. A voice in decisions that affect galactic peace, and the opportunity to serve as protectors for those who need fast response times. The vote was unanimous. In less than an hour, humanity went from observer status to full Council membership, with a permanent seat on the Security Committee. As the session ended, Ambassador Zephyrian approached Lee privately. The tall Altarian moved with new respect, his graceful gestures more formal than before. 6 months ago, I delivered humanity's rejection, Zephyrian said slowly. I spoke of your species, needing time to mature and learn patience. Yes, Lee replied simply. I was wrong. We all were. Your people don't need to learn our pace. Lee nodded. The galaxy is safer when we work together. As representatives filed out of the chamber, each moved with new awareness. The humans walking among them weren't primitive newcomers anymore. They were the guardians who could react faster than thought itself. The balance of power had shifted, not through conquest, but through demonstrated competence when it mattered most. 3 months later, Director Song Hae-won led Earth's largest diplomatic mission ever assembled. The full human delegation filled an entire transport ship as they approached Harmony Prime for the formal membership ceremony. Unlike Lee's first visit, this time the Council had requested maximum human representation. The Soul's Pride and 12 other human patrol vessels provided escort. What had started as a single observer mission had become a full diplomatic fleet, complete with military honor guard. Nervous? Asked Admiral Park, commander of the escort fleet. Excited, Song replied. 6 months ago, they called us primitive children. Now, they're asking us to help run galactic security. In the Council chamber, Security Chief Raxon supervised preparations with obvious anxiety. His security teams moved in. Careful, rehearsed patterns around the chamber. Every entrance was monitored, every potential threat assessed. The difference was that now humans were considered the ultimate potential threat. Remember, Raxon instructed his officers, treat our human guests with complete respect. No sudden movements that might be interpreted as hostile. These beings can react faster than our sensors can track. Ambassador Zephyrian arrived early, as was customary for important ceremonies. But today, his usual graceful movements seemed stiff, formal. The easy condescension of 6 months ago had been replaced by careful respect. Status report, he requested from his aide. All preparations complete, Ambassador. The human delegation will be received with full honors. Speaker Vorthak has prepared the membership induction ceremony personally. And our security arrangements? Chief Raxon has tripled standard precautions, though, frankly, if the humans intended harm, our precautions would be meaningless. Zephyrian nodded grimly. The Council had run simulations of human combat capabilities. The results were sobering. A single human ship could potentially neutralize orbital defenses before they could charge weapons. A human ground team could secure vital installations in seconds. The transport ship docked with Harmony Prime exactly on schedule. Director Song led her delegation through corridors that had been specially cleared for the occasion. No crowds, no delays, no opportunities for misunderstandings. But Song noticed something else. Every alien they passed stared with fascination and fear. Human movement looked fluid and precise compared to galactic norms. What felt normal to them appeared supernatural to other species. "Director," whispered Dr. Kim, her cultural advisor. "We are," Song replied quietly. "We just happen to be predators on their side." The formal ceremony began with Speaker Vorthak's traditional opening. But today, his slow, crystalline voice carried undertones of genuine respect rather than condescending patience. "We gather to welcome humanity as full members of the Galactic Council," Vorthak announced. "Recent events have demonstrated that our previous assessment was incomplete." Polite murmurs rippled through the chamber. Nobody wanted to mention how spectacularly wrong that previous assessment had been. "In the past 3 months," continued General Cassox, "human patrol forces have eliminated the Crimson Fleet entirely. Trade route piracy has dropped by 97%. Merchant ships travel safely for the first time in years." The statistics were impressive, but they didn't tell the whole story. The Crimson Fleet hadn't just been defeated. They had been systematically hunted down by opponents who could think and act faster than they could surrender. Elder Zeeks, despite his great age, had insisted on attending the ceremony. His ancient voice carried across the chamber with surprising strength. "In my long life, I have witnessed the rise and fall of many civilizations. I have seen species achieve greatness through wisdom, strength, or cunning. But I have never seen a people who combine such deadly capability with such restraint." Song stepped forward to accept humanity's formal membership. As she approached the speaker's platform, every alien in the chamber tracked her movement with nervous attention. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity," Song declared, "I accept full membership in the Galactic Council. We pledge to use our abilities in service of peace and protection for all species." The vote was unanimous. But Song could see the mixed emotions on alien faces. Relief that humans were allies, not enemies. Fear of what those allies were capable of. Amazement that such deadly efficiency could be paired with genuine benevolence. "As our first act as full members," Song continued, "humanity requests authorization to expand patrol operations to sectors 7 through 15. These areas have been plagued by various criminal organizations for decades." The Song continued. Representative Thymol voiced what everyone was thinking. How long would it take human forces to pacify those sectors? Conservative estimate? Song consulted her datapad. 6 months for complete elimination of organized piracy. 2 months if we're allowed unrestricted engagement protocols. The chamber fell silent. Those sectors had been lawless for centuries. Multiple galactic forces had tried and failed to establish order there. The idea of pacifying them in months instead of millennia seemed impossible. "Authorization granted," Speaker Vorthak announced immediately. After the formal ceremony, Admiral Nexus approached Song privately. The ancient warrior's eyes held genuine respect. "Your species fascinates me," he admitted. "We spent millennia believing that wisdom came from careful, slow deliberation. You prove that sometimes the fastest decision is the right decision. Different situations require different approaches," Song replied diplomatically. "Indeed, tell me, how do your people view this responsibility? You could dominate the galaxy through force if you chose." Song considered her answer carefully. "Human history teaches us that true strength comes from protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The galaxy gave us a chance when we needed it. Now we return that favor." As the ceremony concluded, The first joint human galactic patrol prepared to launch. Human officers would coordinate mixed crews for the first time, bringing together different species under unified command. Captain Kim supervised the preparations personally. Her crew now included Altarian navigators, Catherian pilots, and crystalline engineers. The combination promised to be incredibly effective. "Remember," she told her mixed crew, "we operate at human speed, but we communicate at galactic speed. Take time to explain your decisions. Our alien colleagues need to understand what we're doing and why." Lieutenant Park, now promoted to tactical coordinator, addressed the multi-species weapons team. "Human reflexes will guide our engagement timing, but galactic wisdom will guide our strategy. We fight smart as well as fast." As the joint patrol departed, Lee Min-jun remained on Harmony Prime as Earth's permanent representative. He watched the ships disappear into hyperspace and reflected on the journey. 6 months ago, he had stood in this same chamber as an observer. The Council had dismissed humanity as primitives with impossible reflexes. They thought human speed claims were measurement errors. Now those same impossible reflexes protected trade routes across the galaxy. Human patrol ships responded to emergencies in seconds instead of minutes. The galaxy was safer because the Council had finally learned to appreciate capabilities they couldn't match. The transformation was complete. Humanity had found its place among the stars not as students learning galactic ways, but as guardians who could act faster than danger could spread. The species that had giggled at human reflexes now depended on them for survival. And humanity, true to its nature, had responded to that trust with dedication and honor. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers that required fast responses. For the first time in millennia, it had protectors who could react before threats fully formed. The age of human guardianship had begun.